everyone. My name is Rochelle Innocent, and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space on all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan, support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Sunday. We actually just dropped a thought piece this past Sunday, so be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you're looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available wherever podcasts are playing, and we provided you with access to a few links down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like these conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Allô les meufs et les mecs. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis, and today's topic of discussion is education. On the topic of education today, we're going to be talking about the demarcation between learning and performance, and I think that it's really, really important that this is the conversation that starts at home, because a lot of anxiety and a lot of the issues that start to arise when it comes to learning and the practice of learning and the experience of learning is a result of us not creating a demarcation, a delineation between learning and performance. And I find that a lot of the problems that arise in our educational systems today is that the expectation to perform is immediate without first giving the bandwidth and the room to learn. So we can't expect to perform without having first learned, and if the expectation is that you come with certain learning in hand, then make sure that you give yourself the opportunity to learn that information, that preliminary information, so that you're set up to succeed, and by succeed you're set up to perform. But it's appropriate for you to stop and to ask questions and to really push back and build resistance with the expectation to perform if you haven't first been given the opportunity to learn. And so when we work in professional environments, and prior to this, prior to my MBA and me branching out into my current career, I worked a lot in succession planning. And succession planning is really how we demarcate between the potential, which are the people that we hire into, but we don't really know if what it is that they've sold themselves as being able to do has actually translated and performance. And so when you think about succession planning, when you think about learning and development as it translates for adults, when you think about performance, there are certain key factors that come into play. So first and foremost, everyone has the potential to perform. Everyone has the opportunity to excel. Every single person. It's just what you need, what resources are available to you, what resources can be allocated or can provide is going to be different for each person. And so the sweet balance is, well, how much or how little can I give this person with the expectation that they perform? So that's one thing. And I think that to succeed in any environment, first you need to have a really clear understanding of how you learn, of how you need to learn to be able to gain proficiency, and then to what extent will that proficiency translate as performance, and recognize that learning is something that's continuous, right? But to say that someone has had enough exposure to be expected to perform means you've learned every aspect of what it is that you're expected to do along the timeline of the expectations in place. So a lot of businesses run on a 12-month cycle. So it makes sense that you're on a succession plan, where you're on a learning plan, where they're focused on how to ensure that you know all of the things that are required of you in that specific environment, depending on the month, depending on the week, for the full year, because after that full year is done, everything resets. It starts back at ground zero. So then the laneway or the runway for learning needs to be that full year before the expectation is to perform. And I think that when we're in learning environments, when we jump in, we're jumping in with the expectation to learn when we're met with the expectation to perform. And so it's important that we recognize, well, okay, if I'm expected to perform, first give me a sense as to what it is that I need to learn, and then let me set up some time by myself, my own independent development plan, so I can learn the things that I need to learn so that I can meet the expectation of performance. And so a lot of our anxiety or imposter syndrome or the insecurities that we feel when it comes to being in new settings comes with the fact that we feel like we're expected to perform without first having learned the basics, learned the foundations. And a lot of companies, they want experience because they think that experience means they don't need to invest as much upfront in you being able to perform the way that they need to. But a lot of experience doesn't translate apples to apples across the board. And I have worked in many industries. A lot of my skills have been transferable, luckily enough, but there's still nuance, right? There's nuance as it relates to the culture, as it relates to the ways of working, as it relates to the industry, even sometimes the languages and the geographies, and that still needs to have a certain grace period before anyone can expect that it is the case that you're performing and that you're driving the change, that they're hiring you into that role or welcoming you into that role in order to create. So I think that that's really important, and I think that a lot of us, we have a very damaged relationship with learning because we were in environments where we were looking to learn, but we were expected to perform. And because we weren't given the tools, we didn't have the appropriate foundation to perform, we felt that that meant that we were unable to learn. But really, those environments weren't set up to teach you, they were set up to evaluate you. And there's a very big difference between someone who's facilitating an environment for you to learn and absorb information and someone who is facilitating an environment to be able to evaluate and assess your baseline understanding and your knowledge. And if you don't have any, then of course it's going to look like you're not performing. But it's not the case that you're not performing, you just don't have the information in place to be able to have an appropriate assessment and evaluation done. So I think that these things are always very convoluted. They're unnecessarily confused when we have conversations in academic settings around performance and around learning. No one can say that you can't learn. It's just that academic institutions are set up to teach information in a specific way, and that way is very, very siloed, and it doesn't accommodate everyone's learning style. So we all have to take on the accountability and the responsibility to understand our learning style, to give ourselves the advantages that we need so that we're entering these performance-driven environments with the baseline foundation to perform by having done that learning in and of itself at home. So I think offloading all the learning that it is that we're expecting to attain in life on a third party, whether that's academia, whether that's a professor, whether that's a mentor. I think that you can offload maybe 20% of that, but you have to figure out a way, like for the 80%, well, how can you invest in your own capacity to learn so that when you're in environments where they're expecting you to perform, you can hit the ground running. So that's a quick topic for today. I really want to make sure that when we think about learning environments, we're thinking about environments that are really conducive to learning, to our ability to retain, recall, and recognize new information as if it is our own, and demarcating those environments from environments that are evaluating, assessing, and determining our capacity and our proficiency in those specific skill sets, and recognizing the difference between both. So short and sweet, but very crucial, and very also important that you cultivate the language that you need to be able to set up boundaries when it is the case that you see that the expectation is to perform, but you haven't yet been provided with the runway to learn. So that is the topic for today, short and sweet. Now, before letting you go, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we will be going live at least twice a month, every month for the foreseeable future on our Facebook page, so definitely be sure to tune in. Now, these events are paid events, so if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest that you take a look at one of our package plans. Yes, so we do offer package plans over and above our live events, as well as access to webinars and workshops largely focused on self-mastery over and above those events. So check it out. Be part of our game changer community, being part of the change that you want to see, allowing us a small role to play in your journey. We are on the road to 1K, so we do invite you to follow us across all of our social media platforms, and we look forward to chatting with all of you very soon. We'll talk to you